Hello, my name is Helen Simonton and I'm the Sales Executive in PTFS Europe. I'm going to talk to you all today about what you can do with open source library systems, focusing on the Koha library management system and the Aspen Discovery platform. We are recording this webinar and it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel at PTFS Europe, alongside our other webinars and videos on our products and services. As always, we'll stop the recording for the Q&A to allow for open discussion at the end. So my lovely and brilliant colleague, Sam, covered what open source is in our webinar last week. So I hope you're able to attend that or watch the recording of it on our YouTube channel. If not, I highly recommend watching it after this. In that webinar, Sam mentioned that Koha was the first open source library management system and that it is celebrating its 25th birthday this year. Last year, Fiona delivered a fantastic tour of the Koha OPAC, and I gave a quarterly webinar on exploring Aspen Discovery, both of which are also available on our YouTube channel. And I don't want to repeat those here. I want to show you some real life examples of what you can do with Koha and Aspen and give you an idea of how they can be configured to reflect your institution and your users' needs. Of course, you don't need to change anything. You could use the system out of the box because it provides everything you and your patrons will need. But strengthening your institution's identity through colour and design choices, making elements appropriate and interesting for the age range of your patrons, social media integrations, language toggles, highlighting particular areas, events or features specific to your sector or offering can increase engagement and improve the experience for users. At 25, I had graduated from the University of Edinburgh with a degree in biology, travelled around Australia for a year, and was about to start my career in libraries as a graduate trainee in Trinity College in Dublin. Koha, at 25, has an equally impressive CV with a set of features including modules for circulation, cataloguing, acquisitions, serials, course reserves, user management, interlibrary loans, and more. Not to mention all of the available integrations you can have. And just to remind you, as an open source solution and with all of the contributors from around the world that Sam told us about last week, the set of features continues to evolve and expand to meet the needs of the user base. So just like any 25-year-old, it's got a good foundation, but that doesn't mean that it has nothing more to learn or that it's finished developing. I'm going to dive into one of our demo sites. Then I'm going to show you some live examples and you can see how they have been configured differently. Koha is entirely web-based for both staff and public functions. This helps make the system light, easy to use, easy to deploy, and easy to manage. As you can see from our demo, it's quite plain. There's a lot of white space. But we do have these nice carousels of books for pops of colour. We have our search bar at the top that can be used like any kind of Google search. We have some navigation links underneath, and we have some links to other websites down the left-hand side here. Along the top, we have links to our cart. We have lists. So if I log in now, actually, and go back to the homepage, and look at our lists, you can see that there are lists that have been created by the library itself, but also some that I have created. We also have the option to self-checkout. Now, because I've logged in as a user, over on the right-hand side, you can see a summary of my account. I can access, those are all hyperlinked, so I can access each one of those sections. I can access my entire account, or up in the top corner here, I can do the same thing there, but I'm going to click on my name here just so that I can show you my account. And the first thing I see is a summary of my account. I've got some messages from the library. It's telling me that I've saved some money just by using the library. I have a summary of everything that I have checked out, and I have ways to manage my account down the left-hand side here. I have a linked account with the little robin that lives in my garden, so I can also see what it has checked out. If I wanted to manage my account a little bit more deeply, changing my password is something that the Library of PTFS Europe allows me to do, but your institution may not want that, and that's an example of something that you can configure for your own institution. As a user, I also have some control myself. So, for example, my messaging, how the library contacts me, I have stripped mine right back. I prefer emails over text messages, and I can edit this at any time. So, for example, if I decided that actually it would be useful for me to know when an item was due, I could tick that box and submit my changes. But I did promise some live examples. So the first one I'm going to show everybody is Blackpool and Flyde College. Hopefully you're going to see some similarities and some differences already. They have this lovely welcome banner, but they have the search bar and navigation links in a similar location to where the demo site had them. If we scroll down a little bit, you'll see in the middle, we've got some library information. Down the left-hand side, they have changed the links to better reflect their users. And on the right-hand side, we have a link to an embedded video for library instructions for how to use their library catalogue, and they have a click view link. If I go to the European Southern Observatory site, I think we show this in every webinar that we do. And the reason for that is because of this amazing map that they created. One of the amazing things about using an open source solution is that if you have the staff who have the technical skills or want to upskill themselves in that way, they can do things like that. And I'm going to mention that again whenever we come to Aspen too. The next example I want to look at is the Arts University Bournemouth. Again, you can already see how different this site looks. I find it very attractive. I like how they have made it bright and colorful, but they've also scaled back a lot of the information. They have the same search bar, but it's really popped with this background color. They've moved the links that were on the left-hand side over to the right-hand side, and they've taken accessibility into consideration so that whenever I hover over them, not only does the color change, but they've also added the line around the link to really highlight that for me. If I search here for management, and this is where you're going to watch my inability to type properly. Yeah, see it. I spelt it wrongly, but that's fine. We're going to search for it anyway. Whenever I get my results, you can see the summary of my results and different things that I can do with those results. But I also have the ability to filter down on the right-hand side. And again, they've paired this right back by accordioning these filters and making them just look a little bit more attractive. On each item that I've searched for, I can see if it's available or if I have access to it online. If I go into one of these items, then you can see on the right-hand side here, ways in which I can manage this item. I can see how many holdings it has, but all of these links are hyperlinks to different areas around the catalogue that are relevant to this item. I am going to take us to Plymouth Marjon now, if that would get out of my way. And what I like about what Plymouth Marjon have done is that they use their homepage on the OPAC to highlight topical information for their users. So for example, they've told their users that the British Library had an outage and it's going to affect resources. The other thing that I like is just these huge color blocked buttons that they've put in the middle of their page to highlight services that users may not potentially be aware exists. For example, interlibrary loans. I remember the first time I went to university and discovered interlibrary loans was a thing. And sometimes they're often buried quite deeply on the website. So it's good to really highlight what those services are. The Royal Conservatoire of Scotland have a really lovely site. And again, they've continued to highlight the search bar. They're thinking about accessibility by highlighting it with this really bright line around it. They've combined a couple of things that we've already seen. They've got the color blocked buttons down the side here. They have some embedded videos. One thing that I really like, if you noticed the book carousel that I showed you earlier, ours it was a nice big size, you could see it, but this one's even bigger. So it really, really draws your attention. And the other thing that they have done is embedded their Instagram feed onto the web page. The Society of Antiquaries in London have embedded their Blue Sky feed rather than their Instagram feed. And the reason that I'm highlighting that is because if anybody was concerned that moving social medias would have an impact on what they can draw into their Koha, you don't have to worry about it because it comes through. Then the British Museum, what I really like about what they've done is they have so seamlessly made their OPAC the same as their website. You probably wouldn't be able to tell that you're not just in the British Museum's website itself. The Royal Commission of Ancient and Historical Monuments of Wales have integrated languages in a fantastic way. Koha has access to so many different languages and translations, and just right at the top here, we can switch between English and Welsh really quickly and really easily. I'm going to move on to Aspen. Koha may be all that you need for your library, but you might also want a discovery platform to sit on top of the library management system. Aspen Discovery is a full-featured open source discovery system that is agnostic to library management systems and EDS. It was created to give users an improved experience over other discovery systems with less impact on library budgets. It combines your library catalogue with your website for events and services, e-content, digital archives, and enrichment from all major third-party providers. Like we have seen with the Koha OPAC, it can be branded to match the look and style you want for your institution or individual branch whilst sharing the collections. It has a web builder functionality that means libraries can create content specific to them and their users. And as I mentioned with the OPAC, it gives your staff the opportunity to use or develop technical skills. And there's even an app. The LIDA for Aspen Discovery is an app that is available with this service. So similar to Koha, I'm going to start with one of our demos to show you an out-of-the-box version, then show you some live examples. On our main Aspen demo site, we have our familiar Google type search. We have some navigation links above the search, and we have created some browse categories here at the bottom. So if I scroll down, you can see how those change, and these can be fully configured by each individual library. I am already logged in. So if I have a look at my account over here on the right hand side, you're going to see a really familiar summary of my account. I've got the notices that the library has sent me up at the top here. I have a summary of the items that I've checked out, and I can click into that to see the full list of it. Or I can go over to the left-hand side here and drill down a little bit more. So for example, I can look at the physical materials as opposed to any e-resources, and we have integrated with Libby in this instance. There are a few extras as well. This recommended for you carousel at the bottom here is based on my 5-star review ratings that I have given the system just to get an idea of what to recommend me. That is something that each individual can choose to do or not to do themselves. It's not a requirement. I also have the ability to look at my account settings and set my preferences. So, for example, similarly with the OPAC, I can determine how I want to be messaged by the library, how I want to receive those, and I can change my languages choices here as well. But I want to show you some live examples. So the first one that I want to show you is Halton Libraries. And you can already see how their branding has changed the look, but we still have the search bar and we still have the navigation links that they have just tailored for their own users. And they've added events and meeting rooms. They have the browse categories underneath here. And I'm going to do a search for management, but I'm going to type it even worse than I typed it last time. So I'm going to type mangment. And you can see that Aspen is predicting what I might type next, and it's offering suggestions. I could filter down by any of the options here, and I can tell Aspen where I want it to search in any of these options. I'm going to stick with the library catalogue. And I'm going to hit search. And in my search results, you can see how it's breaking down the search results into the different media, how many of each media there are, whether it's available now, and whether it's available online. I have all of my ability to narrow my results down the left-hand side, and I can see where it's available, and I can place a hold on it. Um, The other thing that Aspen is amazing for is it has presumed that my bad typing of management was management, and that's what it searched for. But it's giving me the option to choose to search for the way I typed it in case that is exactly what I meant. If we go to Glasgow Kelvin College's site, we show this a lot as well, just because it's so bright and it's got so many great little adaptations. They have used the web builder in a really fantastic way to create these video guides for their users, and they've embedded those videos into the site so that whenever you click play, it won't take you away from that site. You're staying on the actual page itself. If I search for management here, and this time I'm going to search for everything, it gives us this really fantastic bento box breakdown of all the different areas that Aspen has searched. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but in Halton, I could have searched in combined results, and that would have given me this bento box breakdown. Whereas in Glasgow Kelvin, they have labeled it everything. So that's another example of some of the things that you can configure to tailor to your users. I'm going to scroll back down to the lists because I just want to point out that if you have a list integration, for example, Talus, Aspen can integrate with that, but we are developing other integration for list services. So give us a call if you want to chat about what ones you use. I'm going to change my search and I'm going to search for marketing now. And I am going to go back to the books and ebooks specifically. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I want to highlight the placards that are available in Aspen. Placards can be used to draw users' attention to specific services, websites, news, whatever you want it to, and it will pop up if a specific keyword or phrase is searched for. So, for example, here we've got Statista, where you can access over 1 million statistics and facts on industries, businesses, and markets. You can also schedule these. So if you had, for example, internships available at certain times of the year, you can schedule the placard to pop up at the times whenever your users might want to apply for those. And then they automatically come down whenever that time frame is over. Next up is the Western Isles Libraries, and they've used the web builder functionality to create different pages for their collections. So they've got different pages for their Gaelic resources, their dyslexia friendly, special collections, and reading group sets. So, and if I go into, for example, their dyslexia friendly pages, they've got some information for us, but they've also included one of the nice book carousels to highlight some of their collections. I'm going to go to the Royal Veterinary College next, and they have also included their repository here. So if you have an archive and you have, or a digital repository, Aspen will be able to search those too for you. I'm going to search for management here. Management is my word of the day. And I am going to start in the library catalogue. And the reason that I'm showing you this here is because I want you to pay attention to the facets down the left-hand side and how you can narrow your results, because I'm going to change my search and I'm going to look at articles and journals next so that I can show you that Aspen changes those parameters into what is more relevant to the area that you have searched. The Royal Vet College has an integration with EBSCO, and if I scroll down, these research starters are something that is being pulled through from EBSCO. I've got Newcastle City Libraries up next, and I'm going to search for, you'll guess it, management here. And I'm going to stay with the library catalogue. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I want to show you the Explore More section. The Explore More section is showing those other areas Aspen has found in the term, has found the term management, sorry. So for example, if I click on the web pages, it's pulling through from the Newcastle City Council website that has been indexed in Aspen, and it's giving us their local flood risk management strategy. Sefton is up next, and to be perfectly honest with you, we could probably do a show and tell on Sefton just by themselves. They have placards, they have their Insta embedded, they have library information, and the library information is broken up by their little book carousels with the collection spotlights. But the thing that I want to point out here is their integration with LibCal events organizer. So you can see the lovely little calendar dates here and where in Sefton that event is taking place and what that event is. If I go up to the tab for events, I have another way to access what their events are by browsing through the calendar, or I can also choose which library. So for example, if I wanted to look at what Formby is doing, I can see all the events that are happening in Formby. Middlesbrough Library have rearranged their page in a completely different way. They've added in this really lovely gallery here of all the events that are happening. They've moved the book carousels over to the left, and they've got information about each individual library, their opening times, and I can change that and it reflects the opening times of Hemlington. Finally, HSE is one of our health libraries, and they've got a very clean pared back look. Aspen has over 10 languages available, and HSE have given their users access to 4 of those libraries so they can change depending on their needs. And if I search for management here and go down to the Explore More section. So we've got management, management, management. I'm going to go across and I'm going to look at web pages. So we've got the Irish Management Institute. There's management embedded in here somewhere. I'm going to go to the Explore More section again. I'm going to look at magazines, if my internet would keep up. So I've got how to process management in AI. I've got more things about management. I've got research starters on management. If I scroll down to the Explore More section again, and this time I go to events, I've got management and screening references using EndNote. Go to the Explore More and go back to my catalog results. The reason that I'm doing that is because I want to highlight just how good the search in Aspen is. It has retained the fact that I've searched for management, and it's giving me so much information from so many different places that has that key term in it. So after seeing all of these really amazing examples, and seeing what you can do with Koha and Aspen around your user experience, I'm sure the biggest question you might have is, how do I create these things? As I mentioned at the start, we have recordings of previous webinars and what's on our mind videos on the PTFS Europe YouTube channel that show you how to do just that, which we'll link to in the webinar companion post on our website. For any customers present, we also have customer working groups. We're a great place to start for these practices. And of course, you can always reach out to us on how we can support you with this. So to summarize, what you can do as much or as little as you want with an open source library system to create the user experience for users that you want to create. I'm going to stop the recording in a moment ahead of the attendee Q&A session, but before that, I just want to point you to our open webinar topics for February and March. And I hope this has been informative for you. Thank you all for joining.